catch me howling at the moon.
What's up everyone, and welcome back to Park Pros. Today I have my review of the Monster, a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster at Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa. Over the course of 2020, I've had a lot of Iowans find their way to my channel, and that's probably because my two most viewed videos on the channel are about Lost Island and Adventureland. So I'll admit that this video is to cater to the Iowans a bit, but I also just really love talking about the budding coaster scene in Iowa because there's some really interesting things happening there. Adventureland has been making some massive investments in their park, now adding 3 coasters in the past 5 years. And of course, Waterloo is getting their brand new, ground-up Lost Island theme park, which is still on schedule to open in 2022. The future of the Iowa coaster scene looks really bright, but for now, it's a pretty undeniable fact that Monster at Adventureland is comfortably the best roller coaster in the state. In this video, we'll talk all about the Monster, as well as answer the question of how long I think Monster will be able to hold its title as the king of Iowa coasters. But first, if you guys are new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so, as it really does help us out a ton.
Have a ball this fall at Adventureland.
Come on over to Adventureland. You're gonna have a fun-filled day.
In 1996, Adventureland opened the Underground, an indoor dark ride with a wooden coaster track system built by Custom Coasters International. It was the park's third new roller coaster in 6 years, along with Dragon, the now defunct Hopkins Looper built in 1990, and the Outlaw, a CCI wooden coaster built in 1993. These expansions showed promise for the future of Adventureland, and the park seemed poised to continue to position itself as a major Midwest thrill destination into the 21st century. However, over the next 19 years, the family-owned amusement park would invest in a number of other projects, including an expansion of the hotel in 2002, construction of a brand new water park in 2008, and the rebuilding of Main Street in 2011. All of these projects led to Adventureland becoming a premier amusement destination within the state of Iowa, but the park's 2-decade coaster drought led to it becoming somewhat of a flyover park for most coaster enthusiasts into the 21st century. But all that changed on July 8, 2015, when Adventureland announced that they were closing the River Rapids log ride, the fan favorite log flume located in the center of the park, due to the high upkeep and maintenance costs. To appease their fans over the loss of one of the most popular attractions in the park, that same day Adventureland announced that they would be replacing the River Rapids log ride with the Monster, a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. The $9 million coaster was the largest investment in park history, and the Monster opened to the public on June 4, 2016, as the park's 5th roller coaster and first in nearly 20 years. I got a handful of rides on the Monster on my June 2019 trip to Adventureland. Here are my complete thoughts on the ride.
Come on over to Adventureland. You're gonna have a fun-filled day.
Let's walk through Monster's 2,500 feet of track. You start by crawling out of the small castle-themed station and get slowly pulled up Monster's 133-foot tall vertical lift hill. You crest the lift hill and plummet down the 101-degree beyond vertical drop that gives off some solid ejector. From there you go up into a tall turnaround that a lot of times the train seems to barely make it over. Then you head into a dive loop, which takes you straight up to the top of a hill and turns you barely upside down as you dive back towards the direction that you just came from. From there you go up into what's called a finish loop, which is essentially where the upside down portion of the loop includes a negative G stall, which results in some great hang time and a really fun inversion. From there you go up into an incline turnaround and fly into a small bunny hill that gives a nice pop of airtime. Next is an Immelmann that's a really tight and whippy inversion. Then you hit a wave turn, a turnaround back towards the station, and then hit the ride's final inversion, a corkscrew that takes you into the final brakes. You might have seen this inversion once or twice on this channel.
Try to catch me howling at the moon.
From the top of the lift to the final brakes, the duration of Monster is about 50 seconds long. When you break it down, Monster's layout is pretty short, but when I was riding it, I didn't feel like it was lacking in length at all. And the layout packs in a lot without wasting a lot of space. However, the ride's pacing does leave a little to be desired, especially when you consider how some of the other Gerstlauer coasters in Europe just fly through their layouts. The day I was at Adventureland, I thought Monster was running extremely fast compared to videos that I had seen, and even then, it felt like it was dragging in some parts of the ride. The upside of slower pacing though is that Monster gives off some really crazy hang time as it crawls through some of its elements. A big reason for that is because the Gerstlauer T-bar restraints on this ride are really great. They're super comfortable, non-restrictive, and they click down and stay where they're at for the most part, creating a very free and open experience that results in great hang time on the inversions and airtime down the first drop. I'm a massive fan of these new age Gerstlauer trains. They sit you up higher in your seat and they put you on top of the track more, which I think really enhances the inversions and the quick transitions of the ride. I will say that capacity is a big issue on Monster. My visit was on a completely dead day at the park, and this thing was still giving out solid 15 to 20 minute waits with the line barely past the entrance to the station. Having 8-person trains obviously isn't the most ideal for capacity, but the ride doesn't have seatbelts and there's only 2 rows to check, and they were still stacking trains like crazy, which was a little frustrating. But looking past the capacity issues, with Monster having a price tag of $9 million, it makes me wonder why more parks, both large and small, haven't worked with Gerstlauer more. Sure, there's been plenty of Eurofighters popping up at parks all over the US in the last decade or so, but the Infinity coasters seem to check all the boxes of being the perfect signature coaster for smaller parks. They're smooth, fun, thrilling, and manage to be pretty intense rides while still having a 48-inch height restriction. Monster is on a small list of coasters that I could probably sit on all day without ever getting bored or uncomfortable. It's got fun sweeping elements, great trains and restraints, and overall it's just a really enjoyable coaster. It's impossible not to have a good time on this thing. At the time this video is being released, Monster is unquestionably the best roller coaster in the state of Iowa. But how long do we think it'll hold on to that title? In 2021, Adventureland is opening Dragon Slayer, a new 4D free spin coaster from S&S. These are solid rides that the general public typically likes, but it really doesn't stack up to a ride like Monster. Within its own park, Monster will likely continue to be the headlining attraction for the foreseeable future. But you never know though, with the investments that the Krantz family has been dumping into the park over the last half decade, at this point I wouldn't be completely shocked to see Adventureland add a coaster that tops Monster before 2025. A possible contender for Monster's title will be the Immelmann launch coaster formerly known as Kanonen, opening up at the Lost Island theme park in 2022. I haven't been on Kanonen, and while it's not the biggest Immelmann launch coaster, it definitely looks like it packs a punch and has some really intense and interesting elements. I do think that when Lost Island opens, there will be some people that prefer Kanonen over Monster. In my opinion though, I still think Monster looks better. Kanonen is only about 80 feet tall and launches at just 47 miles per hour, which is definitely on the tamer side of most launch coasters. Also, Kanonen is almost 10 years older than Monster and has been sitting in storage for several years now, so we'll have to see what kind of shape it'll be in once it opens. Either way, it'll be super interesting to watch if an Iowa coaster war buds from the opening of Lost Island, as the new park is just under 2 hours from Adventureland. In the amusement industry, competition between close parks is almost always a great thing for coaster enthusiasts. And with Adventureland's recent schedule of adding a new coaster every 2 years, I could totally see them adding an expensive coaster in 2023 in response to Lost Island's opening. And on the flip side, I could see Lost Island building out their coaster lineup with an addition in 2023 or 2024. Although they are opening the park with 2 high thrill coasters, so I'd imagine that their next coaster would be more family oriented. But like I said, the Iowa coaster scene definitely has some exciting prospects for the next decade, and it's something I'll be keeping a close eye on in the coming years. So let's go ahead and rank Monster on our Park Pros tier list. I'm going to place Monster into the Great tier. This is the kind of coaster that most small parks dream about having, and it really is the perfect headlining coaster for Adventureland. It's a ride that's intimidating to the general public, but provides them with a fun, thrilling experience without being over the top. I've said this before, but if you're able to go to Adventureland on a dead day, getting a bunch of rides over and over on Monster is probably worth the park's $30 price of admission alone. Monster is incredibly smooth, it has some really unique elements, and overall it's just such a solid coaster with very few flaws. Adventureland really knocked it out of the park in picking Monster to be their first coaster in nearly 20 years. That's it for my thoughts on Monster and Adventureland. If you haven't yet, please be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. As always, thank you guys for checking out the video, and we'll see you all next time.